right, we're at the top of the hour. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Samvera Connect 2021. We're so happy that you're joining us today. I'm just going to start off with a little bit of housekeeping. So please note that this webinar has live closed captioning available. Simply click on the closed captioning button at the bottom of the Zoom window. And the conference is being recorded. We'll have videos available on the Samvera YouTube channel, and slides will be made available in the Samvera community repository. So attendees will receive links to both in the days after the event. We have the Q&A function and the Zoom chat for your questions. We have a Connect Slack channel available for conversation during the sessions today and after. If you need access to the Samvera Slack workspace, there's a link on Sched where you can request access. So today's sessions will run for 3.5 hours with 2 10-minute breaks. And in the interest of maintaining a safe and supportive environment for all Samverans participating in today's events, we'll read the Code of Conduct and the Anti-Harassment Policy at the start of each day as a gentle reminder of how we work together and care for one another. So Samvera's Code of Conduct lays out our shared expectations for respectful communication. The Samvera community is dedicated to providing a welcoming and positive experience for all its members, whether they're at a formal gathering, in a social setting, or taking part in activities online. The Samvera community welcomes participation from people all over the world, and these community members bring with them a wide variety of professional, personal, and social backgrounds. And whatever these may be, we treat colleagues with dignity and respect. Community members communicate primarily in English, though for many of them, this is not their first language. We therefore strive to express ourselves simply and remember that unnecessary use of jargon and slang will be a barrier to understanding for many of our colleagues. We're sensitive to the fact that the international nature of the community means that we span many different social norms around language and behavior, and we strive to conduct ourselves online and in person in ways that are unlikely to cause offense. Samvera conversations are often information-rich and intended to generate discussion and debate. We discuss ideas from a standpoint of mutual respect and reasoned argument. The companion piece to the Code of Conduct is Samvera's Anti-Harassment Policy, and it reads as follows. The Samvera community does not tolerate harassment in any form. Sexual or discriminatory language and imagery is not appropriate for any event venue, including talks or any communal channel, such as our Slack-based chat rooms or our mailing lists. And harassment includes offensive verbal comments related to sex, gender, ethnicity, nationality, socioeconomic status, sexual orientation, disability, physical appearance, body size, age, race, or religion, sexual or discriminatory images, deliberate intimidation, stalking, harassing photography or recording, sustained disruption, inappropriate physical contact, and unwelcome sexual attention. Participants asked to stop any harassing behavior are expected to comply immediately, and we expect participants to follow the Code of Conduct and Anti-Harassment Policy at all meeting venues, community gatherings, and in online communication channels. Participants violating the Code of Conduct or Anti-Harassment Policy may be sanctioned or expelled at the discretion of the Incident Response Team in accordance with our Samvera Code of Conduct and Incident Response Manual. And you can see here the list of our community helpers who are available to help you with any questions you might have, any information you might be missing, or if you have any concerns related to the Code of Conduct, or if you need to report a violation, they're all available there, and you can see how to reach them. And if you're new to the community, there's probably a lot going on that may seem unfamiliar or unclear, and it's okay to feel a little lost or out of place, as most of us did at first. And many of us have found the best way to get over our initial discomfort is to jump in by asking questions or volunteering to help. We're an agile community working to make things better as we go, and everyone is qualified to help. There's no imposters here. And most of all, we want everyone to have fun, learn new things, and move Samvera forward. So now to start things off, I'm going to hand over to Hannah Frost, who will tell you more about the work we did this year in support of the Code of Conduct and the Anti-Harassment Policy that I shared.
Thanks, Heather. I'm going to go ahead and put a link to my slides in the chat so you can follow along. And there are some links and stuff in there that you might want to refer to later. And now I will share my slides or my screen. Okay, everybody can see that, I hope. All right. So some of this will be a little bit redundant with what Heather has just said, but redundancy is okay.
Sorry, Hannah. Can you try again?
You can't see my screen?
Mm-mm.
Here we go. Sorry about that. Now you should be able to.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Again, some of this might be a little bit redundant, but that's better than gaps, right? Or lack of information. So as Heather was saying, Samvera is dedicated to providing a welcoming and harassment-free community experience for everyone. From the beginning, Samvera Open Source Collaborative has been committed to openness and transparency in all that it does, code, designs, and discussions. We're equally committed to helpful and respectful communication. Historically, women, people of color, people with disabilities, and other marginalized groups have been excluded from technology work, and ironically, from open source software communities in particular. The Samvera community is committed to removing any barriers to participation wherever they exist. In recent years, it's been our custom to open the conference with a presentation on the topic of our community values and our shared expectation to reflect those values in how we behave and communicate with one another during the Samvera Connect events. Heather has done that a bit already, and I'm going to take some time on the agenda where we might more normally elaborate even further on our values in action, but instead use that time to briefly explain some of the important changes we've instituted this year to strengthen the safety of our community and its members. The Samvera community is a vibrant, dynamic, and honestly, sometimes a turbulent place. We believe one of our major strengths is our ability to work together collaboratively, supporting one another personally and professionally. We're not perfect and we don't always get it right, but we strive to apply all of these principles to our work and our interactions. To the best of our ability, we work to be humble and responsive, not defensive, when someone calls us out on not living up to these intentions. Our community has both an official code of conduct and an official anti-harassment policy. The code of conduct expresses our aspirations about how we want to work and interact. The anti-harassment policy provides a framework to promptly and supportively assist any member of the community who feels subject to any form of harassment. It specifies unacceptable behavior and its implications, as you heard. This policy is only one aspect of our broader intention to maintain a diverse and welcoming community that encourages contribution from all participants without bias. Both of these documents have been updated this year, and I'll say a bit more specifics about that later. We expect participants at all community events to honor these policies, and in fact, you agreed to comply to these policies when you registered for the event. If you haven't already, take time to review the documents. They're posted on the wiki, and you can get there by the bit.ly link that's posted here on my slide, by the link that's at the fine print at the top of the Connect channel in Slack. And a very cool thing we added to Slack just last week, there is now a Slack bot. So in any channel, you can just type in get COC and Slack will return the link that takes you right to the wiki page with that information. This is what it looks like when I did it in my private channel. So with the Code of Conduct and Anti-Harassment Policy as a foundation, Samvera community members team up to provide help to those who need it, any kind of help at all. And especially in the event someone feels threatened or there may have been a violation of the Code of Conduct. There are several ways to get help. You can send an email to helpers@samvera.org. Your message will be received by a small group of vetted volunteers known as the community helpers or just helpers. Their names will be shown on the next slide. And as Heather said, you can also send any of us a private Slack message or a private Zoom chat. That actually might be faster because I think many of us may not be monitoring our email while we're attending Connect. So this slide lists the incoming, now current community helpers, a new crop of community helpers. Look for us online. It should be easy to find because we should have a community helper label next to our Zoom name and Slack name and the rainbow emoji on Slack. You can also reach out to members of this year's Connect program committee, and their names are listed here. So thank you for the program committee. If you're considering reporting a potential code of conduct violation or have already contacted the helpers or anyone about your concern, we suggest you reference this new page that was recently added to the Samvera Wiki. It outlines information about the process and what you can expect as your report moves forward. Note that this and all the other documentation posted on the wiki under the heading of Samvera Community Safety now has a menu of links. You can see the lavender box in the upper right corner here. That is a menu of links to the set of related pages, so that facilitates your navigation to all of this new information. And to facilitate your understanding, we also included, thanks to Jeremy Friesen, a glossary of terms that are used throughout this set of material, because there are some new terms involved. All right, so now I'm going to switch gears away from talking about the Code of Conduct and Anti-Harassment Policy as it relates to this week's events, and just spend a few minutes reporting out on the work we accomplished over the past year that got us to this point. It was the purpose of the Samvera Community Safety Working Group, which has been working formally since March of this year, to carry out this work. Namely, to establish clear, formal, documented process for incident response, to modify the Samvera safety volunteer structure as needed, to review and revise policies as needed, and to draft community guidelines. So let's see our progress here. With the invaluable help of our consultant, Annalie Flower-Horn, Samvera now has an in-depth, comprehensive, multi-page incident response manual. It's linked to on the incident response team page if you want to take a look. And we have scheduled to review it for any changes and updates based on our experience and changing conditions on an annual basis. This really is a major milestone for us in the community. Our second goal was to modify the safety volunteer structure, and this was also accomplished. We've separated the roles of the community helpers and incident responders to clearly delineate their distinctive responsibilities. You can read about those responsibilities and the differences also on the wiki. We've also codified and implemented a process for soliciting and vetting volunteers to fill these roles and have defined the length of a term for serving in one of these roles. Before, it was just sort of ad hoc and open-ended, which wasn't healthy. We saw the list, we saw the slide listing the new helpers a couple of minutes ago, but now is a good time to share the list of the incident response team members. So in addition to myself, the team includes Esme Cowles, Rosalind Metz, Alicia Morris, Beth Sadler, and Simeon Warner. While I hope that we never have to work together on an incident response, in the event that we do, I know that we all feel confident and well prepared that we can handle it. So after those components came into place, that's when we turned to reviewing and revising the Code of Conduct and the Anti-Harassment Policy. These used to be two relatively disjointed pages that are now combined into one and have been edited for clarity and redundant and now irrelevant language removed. The policies are now readily available, as you've heard several times, and are scheduled for annual review by the safety volunteer teams. A fourth and final goal tacked onto our charge as sort of a nice to have is to formally draft Samvera's first ever community guidelines, We'd hoped to have this in place for Connect, but the work has been delayed. Our aim is now to complete this before the end of the year. I'm pretty confident we can get it done within the month. So stay tuned for an update on that. And with that, I just want to extend my deepest gratitude to all the members of the Safety Working Group. I believe we all agree that this is really important work, and we learned a lot as we worked through it together. So thank you all. So, and with that, I want to thank you for